See, architecture is a collaborative process, and I think it's not just about other architects. It's also with other consultants. It's also with other, workers. Any project, an architect might think that this is my design. You also are thankful to that mason who laid that brick, or the carpenter who gave shape to that building. Because designing is one thing, you can come up with great ideas, but getting it executed is another thing altogether. Resolving issues from different perspectives, from the structural perspective, from the mechanical, the electrical and the plumbing, and all these other aspects which are there, which are the engineering part of any building, is a collaborative process by itself. The question is, can two architects come together and create something interesting? And that is always a challenge, I would say, because at some level, all architects have a certain ego in terms of their belief or their thought process. But to be humble, and I feel that's a huge asset if an architect has it, humility. And I think humility is the ability to detach yourself from your ego and see your work as an outsider. You can look at your work and say, no, it's not good. And if that happens to be from someone else and who's critical about whatever is happening, I think that is a collaborative process, which means if there are two architects working and then you're designing something and then you kind of question each other, or the other person questions your work and you question their thought process. And that debate, it's a very healthy debate, can lead to something more interesting, more exciting. The fact is that because I've worked in other firms before, and I was working with Srinath from Ants, a lot of designs were collaborative processes. And those processes are something where we're kind of debating, we are discussing and enriching the design as we move along. And for me, that's an exciting process. On the other hand, even within an office, even within our own office, when we come up with a design, the first thing which I do is ask my employees to be critical about that design. Just find out what are the problems here. And because we always fall in love with the design, there's a tendency for a designer, an artist, to fall in love with your work. But the detachment is an extremely crucial part of learning, because what it does is it allows you to look at it from someone else's perspective, as well as even if you can detach yourself from that, it allows you to see the flaws in it, or you're able to correct those mistakes. And that's why collaboration is very important, whether it is within your office or when you're collaborating with other firms. So that I've done a lot of it. Like for Amravati, I've collaborated. Amravati, we were invited to give a presentation for the Capital Complex. So RDA Harris from Malaysia, we collaborated with them. And one of my close friends, he's no more, he expired 2 years ago, Vamsi, from VADS Architects. So he was also part of that. I have collaborated with quite a few architectural firms, and when I was in Manipal, with Nelson Pius, we were trying to work on certain projects before. And that process is always exciting, because it's a lot of exchange of ideas and thoughts. And I think that bouncing off of ideas is what creates something exciting. So yes, so I would say, don't hold on to that ego. Let it be there. I think ego is important. Ethical egoism, as Ayn Rand called it, is very important for an architect. But also to be able to collaborate with someone is equally important. I don't know whether scale is an important factor when you talk about big projects, when the question comes across like that. Is scale important, which means, whether it's 10 million square feet or 20 million square feet, is that important? Or even if it's a small project where you're able to achieve something interesting. And I think sometimes it's the latter, it's not about the scale. But now that the question is that, there are a lot of projects. Of course, when I was with Ants, we had won the design competition for the JNTU campus in Sultanpur, which is a 168-acre site. Totally, they were building about 10 million square feet in that one. So there's a whole campus. It's an engineering college campus. That's a large project. It was quite exciting to work on that. And from there, let's say recently now we are working on a 80 acres development for Badruka School of Management, which initially the initial designing was done by architect Sudhir Reddy, and a few buildings were built through that. But now we are continuing that whole journey and trying to work around that. Apologies to Sudhir if we have kind of changed your initial design thought process. But we are working around that, and we kind of trying to create a dialogue with. That's again an interesting thought about collaboration. There's already some existing building, and then we're kind of working around that. And that was a design philosophy of another architect, and we are bringing in our design philosophies or our own aesthetics and working with that. So that's a good project which is taking shape. We are working on another project which I can't reveal much, but it's going to be a lot to do with sustainability, because it's a beautiful 25-acre site next to a lake, and it's going to be an alternate community of sorts, and a wellness place. So we're exciting about that project, which is about to begin. Beyond that, we are again won the design competition for the Triple IT staff housing long ago in 2017, and now the project is completed. But coming back to the first point which I said, the scale, does it matter? I think for me, always a favorite project would be the first project, which is Anuja Desai, Rupesh Desai's house, which gave me the strength to start my own firm. And why it was exciting is because they had this existing building, and we have to do some kind of an adaptive reuse of it, but of course required a lot of demolition and completely transforming the way that building was. I always enjoyed that transformation process. We had done a penthouse project which was set in a building which is quite old, but a beautiful setting next to the Begumpet airport. I mean, the now non-functioning airport. Even that time it was not. And so we had to design something to completely transform the way the building is. That when people would come and say, wow, is this the same house we had seen before? You can't believe it. That transformation quality, I find it quite exciting and challenging, of course. Rather than large-scale projects. Of course, it has its own other exciting aspects to it. Well, in terms of any other project, that again a design competition for Center for Excellence. I think Center for Excellence for Council of Architecture. This is a design competition 3 years ago, and they had a lot of entries across the country, and they shortlisted 5 firms from all over India to come for stage 2, to come and present the designs for stage 2. So we were one of the 5 firms which were shortlisted across the country from stage 1, and that was a really exciting process for us to work on. And then it led to stage 2. Of course, we didn't win the project. Biju Kuryakos won it. He still owes me a party for that one. And then the whole process of learning from what others are presenting, what their ideas are, it's always nice. But as I've said before, we have learned to not cry over spilt milk, or to regret on something. If the project didn't come through, didn't happen, it's okay. We enjoyed working on the project. We enjoyed working on the process. And that, I feel, is something which keeps us grounded, if you know what I mean. Yeah. See, most clients who come to us are already aware of our design philosophy, and therefore they're already aware that we'll insist upon certain things. Of course, over the years, the government has given a lot of subsidies for using solar panels, and even for rainwater harvesting. Of course, is a compulsion now. It's part of the bylaws, so you're supposed to do it. But beyond that, if you're really planning to do other things, like certain projects where we insisted upon or rather told our clients, what if we do this, do grey water treatment, we can utilize it for the landscaping, we can we can create other ways of sustaining water. A lot of water gets wasted from air conditioning units. For example, a particular AC unit in a span of 6 hours can generate the distilled water can be almost 20 liters of water can come out, which, by the way, can be extremely useful to to water so many plants. One unit can do that if you use running it the entire night. You can think of systems like that. And by the way, that water is supposed to be very good for plants. The water which comes out from the air conditioning units. Like in this office itself, you can see that some of the plants are just running on that. I've not watered it at all. Just pipes connected to the plant, and it just grows on its own. These are simple gestures, I would say. But beyond that, I would talk about bringing in technology. Is something which we tell all our clients that let's do that. Let's go for it. And most clients nowadays are quite sensible, and I don't know whether it's a talking point nowadays about whether you are bringing in these kind of technologies in your projects, but most clients insist upon it. I think it's about and if you can package it in a way that over the years, electricity is going to be more and more expensive, so to do that. And that normally works well with the clients. You say that it's going to be expensive. Money talks, right? And so, moment you talk about money and say you're going to save money in the long run, that logic still works with most people. But I think it's a very important role that an architect plays in advising upon their clients to bring in technology. Because it's a no-brainer. Okay, as I said earlier, coming back to the whole cooler story, yes, you have to invest maybe 10% more than a regular construction. That cost that you have to pay, which I said, are you willing to pay for that, is going to help you in the long run. Not just the society, not just the environment, but also it will save you money in the long run. So that's I think a talking point with most clients.